So that's where I am at right now. Might change क्योंकि रूम में जाके भी करना है कि दोनों बच्चों की सर्विसिंग तो करनी है. Welcome back to MidLives Podcast. This is Arun and Sid. And in all honesty, Sid, this is our third attempt to record this third episode on our second device after we failed on our laptops and desktops. Now we're doing on the phone. What do you say to that?
We're going backwards. Our first recording was the most seamless and like it felt like a breeze. And the second was a little difficult with some audio issues. And the third one, like the universe literally wants us not to record this one. Maybe it's like a message.
It is a message ki do it once, do it right, and never try it again.
By the
That's
way,
what it means.
we've learned some very unique noob tricks of the podcast. The two things we have learned so far is that you should turn your fan off while recording, and
Yes.
second, which we haven't put into practice yet, which is try not to speak over each other.
Well, that will take some time, but theek hai. You know, we will get there. We will get there. I mean, we have years and years of talking over each other phenomenon, which people are used to. And interestingly, didn't we have one of our listeners give that as a feedback? So that shows we learn.
Oh yeah, but it was a very interesting feedback. Soumya,
Okay.
my colleague from work, said it seemed like we were able to complete each other's sentences in our heads, and though we did not let the other person complete their sentence, we understood, what they were trying to say, and we carried on. But as a listener, she felt like they were kind of just hijacking each other's sentences mid-sentence.
Well, I have only one thing to say to Soumya. Soumya, I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do to help you with that.
That's true.
This is how it's going to be. But we're going to make an honest attempt to try and change things, but not change ourselves. Obviously, many have tried, many have failed. Nobody has been able to change us. So love it or leave it. This is what it's going to be. So let's get started. I think two pods in, this is our third pod. Tell me, what have you been doing the last few days?
Hey, I've had some work travel. I went to Kolkata, and I don't know if I've mentioned to you that I don't like work travel.
You don't like work travel or you don't like travel?
You got me there. I don't like travel. Actually, I like a very specific type of travel, which does not happen with people around. So I kind of dislike travel.
So you mean to say you would be a solo traveler who would also fight himself and say, "क्यों जाना है भाई?" But still you would go because that's the only form of travel you would enjoy. Like you would literally fight with yourself कि अब जाना तो पड़ेगा तो चल तुझे ही लेके जाता हूँ, which is yourself. But I think I get your pain. I understand. But let's start with why work travel? Why not? I mean, I'm the diametrically opposite of you because I travel a lot for work and I've been doing it for years. But I kind of don't hate it. I don't love it just because it keeps you away from so many things that you like. But then I won't despise going on a trip, whether it be for work or the other thing. But let's start with you.
No, but I want to actually start with you. And I want to convey my envy about the kind of travel that you've been doing over the last, I don't know, like 15 years. And, it sounds very fancy, it sounds very luxurious, and you get to see so many destinations. How many countries have you traveled to so far?
Well, let me tell you, there's nothing for you to be envious about or anybody. क्योंकि दूर से तो लगता है कि भाई हाँ मस्त मतलब फ्लाइट में जा रहे हैं घूम रहे हैं होटल्स में रुक रहे हैं अच्छा खाना खा रहे हैं बट you know at the end of it if you travel for 15 years straight your body answers for it, and you have to kind of work things around. But let me not crib, because I do feel privileged to be able to travel for work. So I've been fortunate. I think I must have done somewhere about 50 countries. I think so.
50
I
countries.
Yes, I think so.
Oh man,
I think so. But
that's
like I said, I don't think I've traveled to all these 50 countries as a tourist or a traveler. I've been there. Let's say it's a, if somebody wants to do a check mark, कि हाँ भाई यहाँ चले गए, यहाँ चले गए, then by all means, yes. But if somebody has truly lived and breathed and enjoyed a place for 4, 5, 6 days, and in my mind, only that qualifies as travel to a place, then I may have done 10, 12, 15. So in my mind, there's a massive
mm,
difference, right? And I think a lot of the
mm,
listeners would also agree philosophically. एक बात होती है यार, तुम एक सिटी या एक कंट्री में जाओ, वहाँ हफ्ता रुको, वहाँ का खाना खाओ, थोड़े स्लो ट्रैवल करो, you have their coffee, not your home packed coffee. You have वहाँ का breakfast, not घर का overnight oats जो 3 दिन चलेगा ऐसा बीवी ने भेजा है. And then you're just getting up, taking a shower, and then running for a meeting, coming back, shamko, meeting another set of people, sleeping to bed or crying to bed. Agle din same, 3 दिन later, you're truly back in your comfort space in that seat 40A on an Emirates flight, because you know this seat is going to take me home where I truly belong. So in my mind, said that is not the travel. For me, the travel is really slow, really luxurious, because you have your people around. But तुझे मैं क्या ही बोलूं, तू तो खुद से लड़ता है ट्रैवलिंग के लिए.
yeah. So now I will answer the question. I do
Yes.
like travel. Okay, and
Mm.
Astha will tell you otherwise. I do like travel, but my idea of travel is what you just described, which is the slow kind of travel, which is you don't have three places to be in a day. You arrive
Mm.
directly at the destination. You are in a good property and you have all the time to yourself. You can relax, rest, read a book, play with your child, just go on a walk. And you don't have to go anywhere. And maybe the next day you do have to go somewhere, but it's not very taxing on your body.
Yeah.
And you come back, you have a great meal, and you have a restful sleep. And then you do that for a week, and then I would consider that really good travel. I feel like I have soaked in the place, I've soaked in the culture, soaked in the food, and then I would consider that travel to be have been worth it. Unfortunately, some of the travels that we do, including with family, are under rushed circumstances. We only have a few days off. Not everybody has the same number of leaves, and so you kind of in order to get the most value for the
Yes.
money spent, you end up doing some hasty things.
So your and my idea for travel is absolutely non-Instagrammable. Safe to say. Like कौन ही देखेगा कि
Yes.
ये दोनों कैसे जगह गए हैं, because it will be a lot but it will be nothing for people. But I get you, I hear you, my friend. But tell me something, because you have a responsibility towards Asta and to Earth, so obviously you can't have your say, otherwise तू कहाँ ही होता और मैं कहाँ ही होता. So where would you be going next, considering that you would want to have some kind of travel in your life, which is your version? But is there a place where said you will find your own little spot, but also it's good enough for your family and everybody is going to have their own little spot?
Um, it just so happens to be what we are trying to go to next, which is
Okay.
Japan. But I have like
Japan.
this whole bit about Japan to crib about. But I think Japan also happens to be the home for electronics, for watches, thanks to you,
Mhm.
and for technology and cameras. So I'm excited about that part. I'm excited about experiencing food. I'm excited about experiencing train travel for a change, and living
Yes.
on mattresses on the ground and walls made of paper. That is my idea of Japan, overlooking Mount Fuji on a hot massage stone, Yeah, that is my idea of Japan.
Oh man, take me with you. But let me start. Why do you want to crib about Japan? ऐसा क्या कर दिया भाई जापानीज लोगों ने?
No, before we go there, where are you planning
Mhm.
to travel next?
Well, so we are in a bit of a quandary. Maybe people who are listening to it can maybe give me some context, some feedback. Yourself said. तो हमने मन बनाया कि चलो अब दिसंबर में 4 दिन है जब कहीं हम जा सकते हैं, 4 या 5 दिन। सारों की छुट्टी, मेरी
Hmm.
छुट्टी, बच्चों की स्कूल की छुट्टी, सो वी हैव लाइक 5 days पोस्ट क्रिसमस। सो वी स्टार्टेड विद द आइडिया कि टर्की, टर्की में चलते हैं, इस्तांबुल चलते हैं, कप्पाडोकिया चलते हैं 5-6 दिन। बट देन देयर आर सो मेनी इंटरनल फ्लाइट्स देन, बट आई हैव दिस थियरी कि, एंड टर्किश पीपल थैंकफुली माइट नॉट बी लिसनिंग, कि टर्की में हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ नेचुरल डिजास्टर हर साल होता ही है। एंड टू माय नॉलेज
Hmm.
इस साल हुआ नहीं है। सो आई डोंट वांट टू
Oh.
बी, so I didn't want to be in Turkey, and Sarah doesn't know my theory behind this. So if she listens to this,
Hmm.
she'll know why I successfully diverted her attention to Kenya. So now Kenya is on the table, Masai Mara. Maybe we do a wildlife safari. We have two wild kids at
Hmm.
home. तो मे बी उनको जंगल में
Hmm.
खुला छोड़ते हैं, कहीं तो खुला छोड़ सकते हैं ना, जाओ सालो करो जो करना है टाइप्स। So that's on the
Hmm.
table. We are thinking whether Kenya would be a good place and a good time to go, 4-5 days. But it's very hot. It's
Hmm.
still under the under the cosh. We don't know if this is going to be the final destination, or even if we'll go somewhere, because the other part of your lives are family, who would always want to come to Dubai in December because it's good weather, or friends. So we always need to keep our doors and ideas and hearts open. Sorry, I had to plug in that. क्योंकि 3 एपिसोड हो गए फैमिली के बारे में कुछ भी नहीं बोला सेड। Okay? It's just not going to work. Someday, somehow, either you or me had to plug it in. So I did my bit. तू अपना मौका देख के तेरे भी रिश्तेदारों का इसमें डाल दे. It's a societal structure. We can't avoid that. So, anyways,
That's fair. That's fair. So I'll come to that bit about Japan, right? So I have a theory, and this may not be true at all. This is not rooted in science or nothing. This is just a hypothesis. Are you ready for this?
let me strap in on that bullet train, Shinkasi or whatever it was, and I have that coin standing on its circumference. Let's see if it moves. Shoot.
So, I don't know if you know this, but as an Indian, planning a trip and just kind of knowing people around, everyone in India who's anyone is traveling to
Mhm.
Japan this year. And this has been happening for the last, say, 6 to 8 months. Anyone who's anyone, instead of the Euro trips, are now going to Japan. Is this a phenomena that you are familiar with?
Really? No. Honestly, no. I'm like, I, it should be good for people to, but all of them thinking of Japan at the same time? Tell me more.
So here's my hypothesis. The first hypothesis is that because of the West Asia war, there's this invisible line in the sky, and people don't want to travel the other side for multiple reasons. Tickets are expensive. Drop points in UAE or anywhere else in the Middle East are unpredictable. The flights are expensive, fuel is expensive, so people cannot go westward, so they're planning to go eastward, right? So that is point number one.
Mm.
Point number two is that why not go to Singapore or Vietnam or some such? And point number two is about this phenomena that I had once read on the internet called the anchor bias, which is
Okay.
once you've decided that this year is going to be our Euro trip, or it's going to be a long trip and we're going to spend X amount of money per person on this trip, it is very difficult to convince yourself to spend lesser than that because it feels like a compromise. And now you have the budget of a Euro trip, but you
Okay.
cannot spend that much in Singapore or a Malaysia or a Vietnam. So the anchor effect makes you want to spend that much, which is why people go all the
Yes.
way to Japan to spend that much money.
Because it's going to be a longer trip, it's further away, and it's gonna be an equivalent spend. That makes sense. Okay. And even vegetarians travel to Japan so vehemently and so, let's say, enthusiastically. Are you saying vegetarians be included?
Yeah, very much so. So many of our
Mm.
friends have said that they are able to find vegan food and they are able to do okay.
Wow, this is interesting. So Japan's on your map now. Japan. We need to have a separate chat about Japan and electronics and what you need to get for me when you come back from there. But you need to make your trip happen first.
If I try and be less difficult on Asta, maybe we'll do it. So maybe this podcast is about like a mental note to be less difficult with Asta and make it happen.
So, so let me help you and let me help Asta because now I have vested interest because I have a small list जो मैं तेरे को बड़े प्यार से भेजूंगा जो तुझे लेके आना है and then we'll be at peace forever. But let me ask you, Japan trip, would you do a like you talk about this anchor thought process and the budget. In your mind, would a budget be spent more on a higher grade of travel because you want to travel better on the flight, or you would rather spend that additional amount on 3, 4 extra nights of a better hotel? What do you, where do you sit on that?
Yeah, I think the middle class in me never left, and so I cannot get myself to buy even premium economy or business class tickets. I have to
Yeah.
travel cheap. It is just a mindset. I don't know where it comes from. But I have to travel cheap. I have to find the most economical option of getting there. And I want to spend a couple of more days with the same amount of money. So it's not about the absolute money spent. The absolute
Right.
money spent may be the same, but I would rather spend it on experiences and stay than on premium travel. And how about you?
Well, so I'm very particular about one thing, which is so I'm okay with the flight being economy. I just think depending on the length of the travel, like if it's like really 12, 15, 20 hours to reach somewhere, with the kids we have right now at their age, प्रीमियम इकोनॉमी वोंट हर्ट जस्ट बिकॉज इट उनको तो फर्क नहीं पड़ना है उन्हें तो वैसे भी पूरे पूरे केबिन में घूमना है वी माइट जस्ट एटलीस्ट हैव एन आवर एक्स्ट्रा ऑफ extended leg space or just a bit more back space. So I'm of that opinion कि अगर मौका मिले take a premium economy, give yourself the luxury of having a decent entry point to a trip. So I like to start my trip as fresh as possible. The return I don't care कि तुम किसी भी फटे हालत में आ जाओ. Doesn't matter because you're back to your home. You can take an extra 2 days to recover. But if you reach your choice of destination torn and tattered and then you're in a bit of a bad mood, it doesn't help. But if somebody tells me कि चलो प्रीमियम इकोनॉमी के बदले I give you 2 nights in a fantastic hotel with beautiful amenities, I think I'll take that one because it's pure numbers game. 8 घंटा on the flight की 48 hours in a room. Which one works better for the same money? That works better for me. So that's where I am at right now. Might change क्योंकि रूम में जाके भी करना है कि दोनों बच्चों की सर्विसिंग तो करनी है. So it's not like you're gonna
That's true.
absolutely, get your hands behind your head, roll up your sleeves, and say, "Chalo, bhai, better wine लेके आओ, ये लेके आओ." Nothing of that is gonna happen. But that is where I am right now. I think this is where you and me differ. The middle class in me wants to imbibe that middle class thinking of yours, but dil to bacha hai ji doesn't really happen that way for me. So it is what it is.
That's true. That's true. And speaking of taking 2 days to recover after a trip,
Mhm.
I went to Bhutan this year. This year, last yeah, this year. And oh man, had it was a beautiful country. Let me start with that. It was a really nice trip. So many things to see and experience, but it was so tiring, Arun. I I
Really?
took the next week, 1 week to recover from that trip.
Wow. 1 week, hey? Like, is it more of the physical exhaustion of doing all the treks and walking around in all the monasteries and Thimphu and all these places, or was it coming back? It was a completely different air कि तेरी AQI क्वालिटी ने इतना तेरे को खत्म कर दिया कि अब यार भूटान का आता और ये का है मुझे रिकवर कैसे करूं? What was the real problem?
So I don't know where you travel to Bhutan from, but I travel uh, uh, from India to go to West Bengal. You get off at West Bengal
Ah,
and you have a 5 hour drive to Bhutan border. You you cross over to Bhutan on foot, which takes you like an hour at the immigration. And then every day from there, you're traveling 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours in a hilly terrain in a cramped car. And then on the way back, it's almost like 2 days non-stop of traveling from either Paro to Punaka to
oh my
Pabjuka,
word.
yeah, to back,
Yeah.
and then back to West Bengal, and then back to Bangalore, and then kind of back home. Um, yeah, it was quite a bit. But you went to Bhutan. How was your experience?
So I was much younger. Let me start with that. So हम Bhutan गए before kids, before COVID. So you can imagine it's a different era altogether. But हमारा difference ये था कि भाई we went to Delhi. Delhi से we took the flight से उतरे थिम्पू. थिम्पू में 2 दिन किए रेस्ट. वहां से फिर हम लोग गए Punakha Valley and all that stuff. So I have very fond memories of Bhutan. One, obviously, it was extremely peaceful. Food not great. Let me put that disclaimer from my point of view. Very average food. People seem like party animals. I don't know if people really know that. I'm sure you would have felt that. कि भाई इनकी तो 6 बजे के बाद they all want to go whatever basic local discotheque है and दारू है and absolute have a blast. So now I know why they have a very high happiness index. But yeah, I think for me, Bhutan was quite chill. Was quite chill. You know, the one best memory I have of Bhutan was that flight from Delhi, and when you head over to Bhutan, along the way you see Everest, and actually the pilot tells you कि you have to look through the window at this point of time and sit in far distance into the skies, you suddenly see this small golden triangle, which is the top of Everest. My God, and it shines because it's a morning flight. Because 10 साढ़े 10 बजे निकलती है, so you like the sun is at the top, and it absolutely blazes in a shade of golden, and that's a sight I can't forget for the rest of my life. So I'm thankful to Bhutan for that, if nothing else. But I'm sure you would have your own little pockets of memories that you brought back from Bhutan. It has to.
The Mount Everest story is quite a banger. I'm going to remember that for a while. I could
Yeah.
almost, like, I'm a visual person, and I could almost see that golden triangle as you were speaking about it. But we experienced a very different Bhutan than what you described. It was a
Mm.
quaint little sleepy town. Everybody goes to sleep at 8. All the restaurants shut down, and but I had the most wonderful time, as I was describing earlier. What I enjoy in a small homestay, 3 hours from the city. The 64-year-old lady who runs a house that they've had in the family for 8 generations. She used to say, "My mama's mama भी यहाँ रहती थी," in her broken Hindi. And she used to cook for us her Bhutanese meals, and speak in her broken Hindi. Uh, and the warmth of that Bhutanese lady and her family towards us. in in a really old wooden house with no amenities, no fan, no AC was more memorable to me than any of the really nice hotels that we stayed in during our entire trip.
That sounds incredible. Like you are a visual person, said I'm a storyteller person. And you know what? I would have traded 2 days of mine in Bhutan for that 10-second story experience that you had over a 2 day period. I would definitely trade that. But hey, I think that's the beauty of travel. The same place gives everyone a different story for them to carry back home, a different idea of what that travel was about, a different purpose to that travel. And I think that's the end game, right? That's why people travel, to leave a part of themselves back home, to find a new part of themselves in another place, and bring that new part back home, so that the overall becomes a better place to be in. So I don't want to sound that philosophical and end on that note. Let me throw you a curveball. Sid, three sets of
Mm-hmm.
families. One family,
Mm-hmm.
husband, wife with kids. One family,
Mm-hmm.
husband, wife. One family,
Mm-hmm.
just the guy or the girl, right?
Mm.
Single. Three
Mm.
families. Where do you think these
Mm.
three families could go on a vacation together? One place. Tell me.
Oh man. Now, I don't know the answer and I'm going to attempt it, but I'm pretty sure that the person listening, if they're a family with kids, they're going to answer this question differently, and if they're a family without kids, they're going to answer differently. But I'm assuming that the family with kids wants to go somewhere which
Kid
is
friendly.
close by, yeah, kid friendly, so you can always come back home. You're not on the road a lot, you're not out too late, you can get food that's not too spicy, not too loud, and not too many wild animals or insects. And everybody else wants the exact opposite. So, unless the other three people really love these people who have the child, they can probably go to Goa, but I can't think of any other place.
That's why people, choose your friends wisely. Find people who will still want to travel with you, whether you're single, whether you're married without kids, or you're married with kids. Choose your friends wisely. Well, that's it for this segment. Last thing said, what's happening in the next episode? Do
I
we know
told you in the
already?
previous episode. Now, I told you in the
Hmm.
previous episode that if we make it to 5 episodes, I'm going to write it on my resume or I'm going to boast about it on LinkedIn or some such. So, this is episode 3. What have we not
Yes.
tried so far that we should try in episode 4 is what I'm thinking. Do you have an idea?
Absolutely no idea. You're the ideas person. I'm just here as a filler. You tell me. You're the one who has figured it all out.
So why not? Um, Look, we are making this for friends, and nobody else is going to listen to this. So why don't
Yes.
we make this two people podcast a three people podcast and get a guest and have the experience of what it's like to host a guest on a completely unstructured, unscripted podcast? What do you think?
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. People would love to listen to somebody else and not just the two of us. Somebody who's more mid than us, let's say. Right? We need to raise the level of the podcast someday. Might as well bring somebody who knows a thing or two better than us. But do we know who this person is?
More. No, I don't know who this person is. And for the 7 people who might listen to this podcast, if you would like to be on our next episode, send us your coordinates and we'll try to make this happen. I have a couple of people in mind, I'll be honest.
Okay.
Um, and let's play it by ear. Why, this entire podcast is so unscripted that maybe
Correct.
we'll discover one of our friends who wants to be on this, um, and not have to pre-decide it.
Absolutely. You know what? Just to make it more exciting, let's just send the link to some random friend of ours, तीन चार दोस्तों में से एक को कि भाई ये कॉल पे आ जा. And then we tell him, you know what, you're on the Midlives podcast. Let's record. Go for it. Anyways, we will figure that out. But I think we have had a long enough session today. People have lives, people have work. We are mid, but we have mid lives. Thank you very much, Sid. It was fun as always.
See you around, Arun. Bye.
Bye.